I think the transfer to the state, I think they're not.
Mail it state too.
Would everybody, I'd like to call a special meeting to order. Would everybody please rise and join me in the pledge? I
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll?
Good morning. Luddington.
Here,
Patrick. Bruner.
Here.
Ellis.
Here.
Farnham.
Here.
Lawton.
Here.
And Voigt.
Here. The purpose of the meeting this morning, we have, I got the wrong agenda. Do you have the special meeting agenda? Hey, never mind, I got it, thank you.
Yeah, got a couple of them.
Okay, let's first of all ask for public comment. Is there any public comment this morning? Okay, the next item, and Andy is gonna be here momentarily, I just talked to him, is the consideration of an ordinance authorizing the issuance of general obligation bonds, sales tax alternative revenue source of the county in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed $18 million for capital improvements related to public safety. The next item we're gonna talk about is to appoint Robert W. Baird and Company to serve as the placement agent via engagement letter. And finally, the seventh item, or the third item, is to ask the state's attorney to appoint Chapman and Cutler as bond counsel via engagement letter. Those are the three items. I'd like the record to show that Andy is now present. We have nobody, no board member is attending by video or audio conferencing. There are no board members absent, and so we'll move on to questions. You have a copy of the ordinance, and are there any questions or discussion about the ordinance at this time? The committee, the building committee met with via phone and conference with several people. What was it, last week? Russ, Andy, Carl, and I, and discussed the ordinances and the procedures. Augie, do you want to kind of highlight what this triggers and what happens at this point? Or are you comfortable doing that?
Well, probably would not be able to do it justice the way you're gonna do it, but yeah,
Well,
you're
I
gonna
didn't want to leave you out.
not leave me out.
I don't think he minds.
There's
Go ahead.
yeah, no. You're moving right along. I thought you were following the ordinance in
I am.
itself.
All right.
And
This passage of this triggers several things. Number one, Augie is gonna publish in the paper the entire ordinance, and this Saturday, which will then trigger a 30-day period where there could be public comments or other issues that the public brings up. And it also includes triggering a public hearing on the 8th of June at our regular meeting. It would be an agenda item towards the first part of the agenda. And that way there would be a public hearing to answer questions and for the public to make comments. Then, after the 30-day period, we move into actually issuing the bonds. And we have the help of Baird and Company and Chapman and Cutler, our bond attorneys. So at that point, then we officially take action. This is just kind of sets in motion the process that we have to do in order to issue the bonds. Okay? Questions? I thought it'd be important, our architects and the Corps have given you option 1 and option 2, which is before you. And I thought it'd be interesting for you to see option 1 along with the new revised site plan and building layout, which can still be modified. And the cost, including acquisitions, but not doing anything with the Vance building as far as remodeling, just the straight jail would be $16,490,000. Option 2 shows that we would demolish the Vance building and start to think about, let's see if I got this right. Huh?
Go ahead.
Go ahead. Yeah, and it would also look at, hang on, I missed chapter 1 page. Oh, I've got it backwards. Okay, it would also include a new government building to house possibly on that site. It hasn't been discussed by anything, but just to take a first blush look at what that would cost. I'm sorry, what I'm saying is the building, just doing the jail, I had them reversed, is $14,140,000, just the jail. Okay, and doing nothing with the Vance. And doing a public building for several offices, plus the jail would be $16,500,000.
That's a single story.
That's a single-story structure.
Yeah.
That's probably, the square footage is probably not right, we just put it in there for square foot, price per square foot.
So both options involve destroying Vance building, is that true?
At this point, yes.
So we went from using the Vance building for various things to not using it at all.
Well, and the committee considered that, and we were looking at $5 million to do the Vance School, including elevators and, or
Yeah.
the elevator.
So it's best just to,
Building,
you think?
We at least wanna propose that, I mean, we all 7 gotta consider that. The other option that is, and Carl mentioned, and you may wanna talk about it, but we could also look at other locations for a county building or even an existing building. And I think that opens it back up if we're gonna try to keep it within the limits of the bond issue. The other thing that the bond attorney has already ruled is that we cannot spend any of the bond money for the reclamation or of the Vance School, or any of the constructions of any other offices. It can only be for court, public safety, or the sheriff's department.
Now, you could use them, like, if you decide to tear it down, that could be, because that's the whole property.
Right.
But if you wanna spend any money on redoing that Vance building, then that couldn't come out of that.
Or if we spent the money on the ground out of the bond issue and bought the Vance School, then we couldn't use that ground to put the new building on for the other departments. So,
Couldn't you split it out?
we could, or we simply, for no less money than it is just buy the Vance building and the ground out of our funds.
Okay.
And then, what, we can still put the jail on it, it's just a contribution, and that way we can do with what we have for the rest of the building. The other thing to note on option 1 is that it does include the construction of a building, storage building, as I recall. I'm trying to find the IT, dispatch, where is that?
Right under new government building.
Okay, yes, storage building, and that does include that, so that 16, roughly 490 includes a lot of things, it's just not include the public building for like the treasurer, secretary of state. I would elevated you, Augie, county clerk, or
wants more money.
or Dina's office, so.
So really, it's not necessary for us to take the fence building and make office space out of it, right? I mean, it's not
Vital.
vital,
No.
right?
It's kind of an
That's
urban
what I'm
building.
Well, and I know we
And
would
why-
all
yeah,
like
why
to
it-
save
yeah.
buildings if we
Right,
can and if
right.
they're usable. The old high school was relatively old,
Right.
and they did a nice job on
Yes, they
that,
did.
but they also spent $7 million or $7 or $8 million on the
Right.
deal, so.
And it hadn't set into for years.
Right.
Right.
I mean, I know this is kind of an adjustment for the board, but I think we need to, as we get farther down the pike, I think you start to realize things.
Yeah, on this drawing here, this is taking part of the Coke, it isn't?
Coke's over there, showing the.
Yeah, this is Coke, so we still would buy this part right here?
Yeah, we
We
wouldn't
own this?
necessarily have to buy the Coke building. I mean,
Yeah,
and I sent all of this stuff, and you sent some topography to Massey to start looking at placement and parking and how we would handle that.
yeah.
I mean, it is not a foregone conclusion that we have to spend the money on the
Is
Coke
this
building.
property right here?
Yes,
Belong, that's Coke property?
no,
That's ours? Okay. good.
no,
No.
Oh,
it
okay.
belongs to a private landowner, and there's a house there,
Oh, okay. okay.
and he's
Yeah, I
living
know,
in the
okay, now I
house.
know where you-
Okay,
And he said he's
Well,
willing to sell, right?
right.
Yeah.
If you're gonna tear down the Vance building, it gives you more area.
Right.
And it sure looked better without it,
Yeah,
just as an
I think
opinion.
so too, yeah.
Well, those are our options. I mean, if we figured out something else to do, that's fine. I mean, there are empty structures around the community that could be used for offices that may not work, but I
And
think
another
we,
possibility is across from the jail. You know,
Yes.
we own that property
Yeah,
there.
right.
You know,
On
put
the
an
property.
office, the office building there, it's close to the
You
courthouse.
wouldn't need all that property for office building, because
Yeah.
it would not be that large, right? I mean, it'd be,
Yeah.
yeah, where you have to go uphill,
well, it'd take about 10,000 square feet,
yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah, that-
What, for a additional building, 10,000 square feet?
Roughly.
And we talked about
Oh,
some existing buildings
I
that
know.
are available in Paris too,
that's
Yeah.
not
to renovate.
There's a lot.
We don't wanna mention any name,
Right.
well, we can, but it
Right,
would
but-
probably be best at this point, because we do have somebody checking out, one structure that's, south of the courthouse. We'll just have to see.
Right, so, you know, there's other options, you know, we're looking at all the options,
Have we
what
ever,
might be best.
Did core samples of the old Hague property, see if it has any stuff, you know, like something down in underground.
There's a
that would
lot of
affect-
bad stuff
Yeah.
down there, plus a lot
Have we ever
of
done
concrete.
that?
Lot of concrete.
Would that be a wise idea to do?
Well, we'd have to.
Yeah.
I mean, if we're gonna seriously consider that site
Right.
for another building other than the jail.
Yeah,
And we need to make sure that folks understand, well, if that's good enough for another public building, why aren't you putting the jail there? Well, there's other issues, and the jail is a much more robust, I guess would be a way to put it, and there's other issues involved there, especially with infrastructure. And if you just put I guess a slab building there, you know. The other thing you could put in that also would be, not a huge public room, but you could put in a meeting room into that structure so that we'd have a place to eat, or eat, or drink. Sorry, I'm not being more serious here. At any rate, so that kinda, it does show us that even if there was some major escalation in fees and services and construction costs, that we could actually build the jail. And then we can do some other things within the project scope. So, and, that's what I had to say.
what's escalation, what's that?
That's, that they've already built into both of them, construction cost escalation.
That means
It
Increases
means
in
they
prices.
missed the price, one's got a $500,000
Okay.
and the other one is $625,000.
Okay, that's what I thought.
So they've allowed for a growth in what it's gonna cost.
Okay.
Where do you see escalation?
Down at the bottom, third from the,
Above total
Right.
construction cost.
Total cost.
5%.
Oh, I see. There, okay, I'm looking here and here. Ah, I see.
So I assume this was just plopped on here and it
Yes.
has absolutely nothing to do
No.
with scale or,
No.
or
well, it is to scale.
Scale.
It
the
is-
building,
But the
the
building
drawing
can
be moved
itself
around
is, but
anywhere.
not the,
Yeah, not its location.
no.
So why is it back to 4?
It's
For
not, I
parking, is
mean,
that?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
But
matter.
I just wondered.
it's just, they put it in there so you can get an idea of the size it is on that
I
particular,
see, okay.
those properties.
Okay.
That's why Massey's gonna take a closer look at everything and work with Michael to a point so that we can see, like, make a decision on the bottling plant, you know?
So
We
you're
do, we do believe that the estimate for demolition of the, Vance property is too low.
Okay, so if you
I'm
look at
guessing it's gonna be more like 300 grand.
I was saying.
300,
Yes.
well, if you look at new government building, new storage building, and advanced demolition, you add those, you're at 2 million, and you think it's 300?
But if you don't buy the coke, then you could subtract that off in the demolition cost. I think that rental will run somewhere around 150,000 in combination.
Coke needs a new roof,
Yeah.
if you decide to keep that, it needs a new roof.
And that's
200.
suggested that it'd be $1 million to put in
$1
the
million for a roof?
I talked to him, he said that was additional, like, wall repairs and stuff too. It
Oh,
wasn't
okay,
just
was
the
that,
roof.
okay.
That's.
Yeah, there's
using
other
the
additional
building
repairs,
money.
he just put a line item as roof
Oh,
on there, but it
okay.
includes any wall repairs.
I wondered how
I
a roof
thought-
could cost
That's
$1
what I thought
million.
too.
No, I think that's pretty much rehabbing it to make it usable, I think.
Okay.
What do you- Get a rough number on it.
But your storage building has to be separate, it cannot be included in part of the Vance building.
I don't know that.
Part of-
We,
No,
Now,
they're talking about cars and stuff.
part of the Vance building, you said?
I don't know what we
No,
were
you
storing.
asked new storage building. That was if we, in the end, put up a separate building for the sheriff's department for storage, for evidence, stuff like that. That's what, and that would be public safety.
right,
So that could be included in
yes,
this, yes.
that's, that would be for the use of public safety.
Right.
Does anyone ever check the coke building, see how, get a shape?
There, we're gonna do that, and I was gonna get into that. They're gonna be in town the first week, full week in June, and one of the things we're gonna do, and we'll let you know, so if you wanna tag along, you're more than welcome to.
What's our next step?
Passing or this ordinance,
Figured out which route we're gonna go.
Okay.
We'll sort of determine how much you need to.
But if
Is that
we do a
correct?
maximum of however much is in the resolution, it doesn't have
Ordinance.
anything, ordinance doesn't have anything to do with how much less we could borrow, right? It's just a
How
cap.
much less, yeah, I suppose. Correct. That would be a cap, and actually it gives, what I read, it still gives an avenue. You can't bond over 18.
You can bond less.
But you
You
can
can
borrow
bond less,
less.
but where did I read something about?
It gives you.
Whereas if the pledged revenues are insufficient.
I thought Prospects was only gonna go 16. So to another place, we're getting 2 maybe.
They can go more, but it costs more interest. Wasn't that it?
I think so.
Yes.
That's a little above my budget.
But I think, well, I think Prospect was, I thought that was their max, but they said they could get additional partners
Yeah.
to get, if
That
we
was
needed.
something like that.
That's what I thought they said, yeah.
Yes.
Next.
Basics. Payroll,
Where are we at?
The question was brought up, and I just make sure that I, it's correct. Prospect, we can go strictly through them and get the 18.
Well,
They have to
they're
go
eligible,
elsewhere.
we're eligible for
16.4.
16.45 right now. Now, that will grow over the next couple of years.
Okay.
And see if we want to expand that, then we can. The other reason that we did that was, if you'll notice in the design, the city is not in there. And if the city should decide that they want to become part of it and they sign an agreement with us, we'll be able to expand what we can use as far as bonds. If we don't pass the max right now, then we'd have to go through that whole process again.
And that'd be expensive.
And plus, it gives us a little flexibility in what we can do and not do. Does that make sense? We can also pledge another source to it, to get an extra, a little bit. We could pledge, for example, you could pledge just the straight sales tax, which is one of our smaller funds. Not saying we want to do that, but that is an option, as long as we pledge the revenue source.
That would be another different bond issue and things.
No.
No, you could still use
To,
that.
to go from 16.5 to the 18,
To 18.
you can pledge that revenue source, yes.
So we're kind of looking at two things. One is, do we agree on the 18 million and do we want to proceed with that? And then the other is taking a look at the actual expenses and what they'd be.
And we were gonna do that anyway.
Yeah.
I think the group in general, and I think I got with just about everybody agreed that the 18 was acceptable at this point. So,
I guess my only concern is these are our estimates with Klinger, and until we put out and actually decide who's going to do it,
it could raise or lower.
right, raise or lower, but if it raises, hopefully it wouldn't go above 18.
Right.
What do you do if it goes above 18?
Bond for this, you could go through this process again to get more money.
And pledge another revenue source, or just pay back the bonds and go back to the drawing boards.
Okay. How much more does it cost to go to 20 million?
Well,
Not that you're gonna use it, but then,
the bankers said 17.
okay. All right.
And we talked to them and they said, okay, we're comfortable with 18, but
Okay,
that's pretty much it.
all right.
Yeah, you know, I guess if we get another architect and find in the end it's gonna be 20-some million, we're gonna have to step back and say, look, can we afford this?
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Even build a new jail.
Right, so,
Well, the whole purpose of this exercise was to build a new jail.
Right.
And if we can't hang all the Christmas ornaments on the tree, we can't, or, you know,
Right.
okay?
We
But if
started
you
out with
look
12
at-
million, didn't we?
Well,
Estimate was 12 to start with.
I'm not sure that we're at 12,
I
but we
thought
could have been.
somebody mentioned
20,
12.
22 million.
We had a 20, almost 22 million.
yeah, 22,
Oh,
yeah.
Jesus.
But it's a good thing we could have never done that because we were kind of flying blind on what was eligible and what wasn't. And the bond council made it fairly clear to us that that's what we gotta do.
And how did they derive that amount?
It's based on a formula and what the county can borrow in a single year or multiple years.
Yeah.
Our county based upon our income sources, our
Yes,
revenue
no,
sources?
Well-
based on the tax base.
Okay.
It's a text-based.
But also part of ours was figured on, the safety tax too.
Right, yes.
Yeah. I guess it might be.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
what is it, it's 1.25. In other words, if you figure the bond payment's at 900, in order to do 1.25, we'd have to have 1.12 million in income, okay? And 900,000 services, that's probably high, but services, that debt service at 900. Now, we don't have to decide now whether we're gonna borrow 10 million to start with or 16. That's another, for another day. At the end of the period, the 30-day period is when we would do that, when we actually issue the bonds. Andy, are you still uncomfortable with this?
No, I just, no.
Because we, you know,
No, I mean, as long as, I mean, I just watch construction costs and people that are doing some construction,
yeah.
you think you can do it for an amount of money and it's astronomical what stuff's costing now in Florida.
Well, Core said that the $67 million jail, the bed cost was $135,000 per bed. And we're at 200, this figure's at 219. So there is, that's without the escalation.
If we make a decision on a certain amount of money, do we have to go back to the citizens of the county in order to do what we're talking about?
No.
Don't have to, okay. Would it be wise to do it?
Well, there's gonna be a public hearing
Okay.
on
Yeah.
it, but as far as going back for a referendum,
Yeah,
no,
okay, all right.
not at
That's all
this
I want.
point.
Okay, this one.
Anybody like to make a motion to approve this ordinance? You just don't know, it's a major step.
It is a major step.
Andy Patrick makes the motion.
I just don't want us to think, you know, that old joke about the woman who has a checkbook full of empty checks and she's like, well, I have checks, I must be able to spend money. I just don't want us to get in the mindset of thinking 18 million and doing anything thinking, well, we have 18 million, I don't wanna have 10 million, and we just happen to have 18 million in the back pocket.
It's terribly restricted what we can use it on.
Okay.
I'll second it, Brian.
Phil
Keep your
Luddington seconds.
They just not make that public. I think you just did.
Yeah.
It's on video.
Yeah.
They made a motion and I'm gonna read it.
My mouth, I guess.
Andy moved and Phil seconded an ordinance authorizing the issuance by the County of Edgar, Illinois, of general obligation bonds, sales tax alternate revenue source, in an aggregate principal amount not to exceed 18 million for capital improvements related to public safety. So, any further discussion? Mr. Clerk, would you call the roll, and I will vote.
Luddington,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes. No.
Brunner,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Farnham,
Yes.
Lawton,
Yes.
Voight.
Yes.
Partners in crime.
It does pass unanimously. There's nobody voted by phone or by audio, and the record will reflect that. Thank you for that. Next, we have a company, Robert W. Baird and Company, to serve as placement agent via engagement letter. Their purpose is to make sure that once the bonds, well, they started to help us already by directing us on how to do it correctly to the letter of the law, as well as Chapman and Cutler. but they will act as a placement agent, making sure that nobody that we're borrowing from is exceeding the amount of money that the market rate. In other words, say for example, we've got a locked-in, agreed upon rate right now. Hey,
Hey, guys.
agreed upon rate, and that rate is 4.3 if we go 10 million, and it's 4.8 if we go the whole amount. Now, for example, if something happens to that quote, or say that bank would ask for more, they would step in and say, okay, that's okay, or not okay, or find us another agent if something fell apart as far as that bank system. Does that make sense? So they agreed that they will, if everything, we brought them into this deal, an agent or a funding agency that would help us and committed to us, okay? And so if they don't have to do that kind of work, it'll be not to exceed. And I think they're based on the actual amount of money that is by the million. They get to
0.4%.
0.4%.
I know that was, we discussed that the other day, and, because we originally thought maybe there wasn't gonna be any cost.
I talked to her
Okay.
on the phone,
All right,
and she has gentleman to lady or whatever. If she doesn't have to bring anybody to the table to help us, she will adjust the price. All
okay, that was my concern.
right?
And then also on this agreement, the first paragraph, it says 17 million.
Okay, well, we can get that
We
changed.
can adjust that.
Yeah,
And on Chapman, I think there's an adjustment with them too, but that was my concern, the 17 million versus 18, and then the fee.
she's aware of it,
All right.
okay? They're both aware of it.
Because at the 18 million, according to this contract, at the 0.4%, that's $72,000 is what
Yeah.
their fee would be. But, you know, if everything works out, then it'll be much less than that.
Yes,
Be less.
yes.
Yeah,
Yeah.
not much less, right?
I don't know.
Right.
But,
I mean, we're bringing everybody to the table, so.
but yeah, if this agreement, you know, with the Prospect Bank, if that all works out, then their actual work would be much less.
Right.
Be less, I don't know how much less, but it'd be less. But they still have to kind of oversee it all and make sure everything's going the right direction.
Right.
Everybody's checking us very thoroughly on what we're doing. Augie sent a number of things to them last week to make sure that they approved of everything that was submitted and that would wind up in the paper. They even reviewed the public notice for this, you know, a number of things. Do I have a motion to appoint Robert W. Baird and Company, Inc. to serve as placement agents via engagement letter? Carl moves. Russ seconds. Any further discussion? Andy, would you call the roll?
Me?
I'm sorry. Augie. Yeah, call the roll. Andy.
Here,
Hey, this is,
Here.
it gets me, this
I'm
is a
writing in blue
very
ink, and here, use blue.
nerve-wracking deal we're doing, guys.
Yeah.
I agree.
Luddington,
Yes.
Patrick,
Yes.
Bruner,
Yes.
Ellis,
Yes.
Farnum,
Yes.
Lawton, and
Voight.
Voight.
Yes.
Total.
Okay, the last one is to appoint, to request that the state's attorney approve the appointment of Chapman and Cutler LLP as bond counsel via engagement letter. And we need to make sure it adds the state's attorney to that, okay? Because as we know from years ago, Carl and I do, that we can't just appoint attorneys on our own, so I hoped I would hear by now, but I thought the judge would have signed it, but they haven't been able to do that yet.
And they've done work for us in the past.
They've done 2 other bond issues for us, yes.
They, well, are, where are they from? Company's from.
Charlotte, Chicago, New York, Salt Lake City, San Francisco, Washington DC.
They're the,
Oh, I see.
there are about 2 or 3
Oh,
go-to firms in the
I see.
United
Okay.
States that handle bonds, and they're one of them. And we did get a bid, and they were significantly less, I thought, than everybody else. Yes, Andy? I'm sorry, Augie?
And
You guys don't even look like change seats, Augie?
Just use a blue pen. Also,
got-
yeah, no, when the schools file their levy every year, I'm continuously seeing schools refinance their bonds, and Chapman, hands down, they're the ones that do all the work. They're just, well, they're it. I mean, they're the people, so they have a good reputation and they do good work.
What number are you on, Carl?
E, page 7. Once again, it's got 16.5 million,
Right.
and with that needs to be changed to 18 million.
Yeah, it's,
That's it.
And
Yeah.
then the other one, you know, the 10 million and
Right.
approximately 6, the
Yeah.
10 and 8,
that all has to be caught up.
right?
Okay, I won't say anything.
Other than
till
that,
it's-
because I read through every bit of it, and that's the only problem I saw.
Yep. See, it doesn't even agree with the other one, so
Right.
no matter what, we had to
Right.
change it. Okay, we have a motion and a second, correct? No.
We haven't done anything.
Oh,
I voted
okay.
already. Didn't I
No,
already vote?
this one we haven't had
We
any
Not
haven't
for
had
Chapman.
anything on this.
Okay.
Okay, I'll wait.
for discussing.
Yep.
If there's any more.
You go ahead, if there's a motion, do it. If
I'll
you
make a
want,
motion.
Phil. Oh,
I'm-
Carl
I'm just
moves,
sitting
Andy
down with my
seconds.
motion.
Are you ready?
we are.
Luddington.
Yes.
Patrick.
Yes.
Bruner.
Yes.
Ellis.
Yes.
Farnham.
Yes.
Lawton.
Yes.
Voigt.
Yes. Okay, that concludes the business to be brought before this special board meeting. I need a motion to adjourn, please. Russ moves, Andy seconds, I got it right that time. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed, nay. Thank you. And we're on money this,
What did that?
this Sunday, or
I couldn't help it. I
Saturday.
go to gas
That's
tank.
for
You
sure.
survived.
I survived, yes, I did.
Gas tank was short.
Okay, let's start the study session. Adam, do you wanna head it off?
Sure. You guys all have the spreadsheet in front of you. Carl was able to give you your destination sheet this month, so. Overall, another good month for us. Little ahead of last year, total wise. 911s are down just a hair from last year, but I guess that's not a bad thing.
No.
All our times are in par for what they should be. Our dispatch en route I was pretty happy with. It's even less than previous averages. Just looking through, nothing really pops out. Our MIH's, our mobile integrated health program's really taken off. COVID is making a comeback, so we're starting to see those patients again. But a lot of those patients for the month of April were our congestive heart failures, or COPDs, or diabetic patients. So that's where a lot of those numbers popped up at. I've got one medic that's his full-time job now. He's a nurse also, so he does that as a nursing role. Through the summer months, I've got one medic out on extended leave, so my MIH guy, Cody, is actually jumping back into an EMS role. So EMS will take back on the mobile integrated health. So you'll see crews out and about doing those visits daily. Second page is our destinations, so feel free to thumb through those. Nothing out of the ordinary there either. Talk to you guys a little bit. Was one of the meetings about our school bus incident on 150. Everything with that went fairly well. We had one minor incident, just a training opportunity for next time. Luckily, we don't see many school bus incidents it's a unique challenge. So There are certain protocols in place for that, and that one was not followed to the T. Like I said, everything worked out well. I checked in with all the parents, all the kids were just fine. But that did provide some upcoming training opportunities we're gonna work closely with the fire department on in case that ever happens again. Jeremy was gracious enough to send a truck down Malfunction Junction to kind of post central while had all the trucks tied up with that, so appreciate his help. Other than that, I don't really have anything. I guess I'll see you guys next time for the May update, but anything from me?
Thank you.
I assume you're still using, that storage building out back for your ambulances and stuff?
Yep, so we are still in the pole barn behind the hospital. I have officially seen plans for a new station. That's all I'll say about that right
It's
now.
hard to believe. They build everything else in the world out there. That sign's about 100 feet tall. I didn't know the hospital was there till I saw that sign.
I put it there so you can see it. I mean, I know your vision,
Well, they're just trying to,
One
I
on
don't
the
know why they
other.
haven't built you what you want. They obviously have the finances, I would think.
Well, I can tell you, it is in the plans. But there are lots of plans out there right now, so it's just,
I don't doubt it. Maybe they ought to get a few more customers.
Well,
got one
they do.
right
You
here.
been Terre Haute lately?
One right
You
here.
know,
There's
Yeah.
Horizon Health
just to go to the gas
facilities in
station.
Terre Haute.
Yeah.
In fact, Cindy had to go over to her doctor in Terre Haute. He comes to Paris and Terre Haute,
Yeah.
so
That
they're,
I know.
yeah,
I do that also.
I think up to
Yeah.
Adam's salary.
with Horizon,
we appreciate that.
Not usually.
yeah, well.
Well, I mean, it would if it was necessary, but they come here.
Yeah, they come here,
Anyway, nice sign.
yeah.
Thank you, Adam.
At least know where emergency room is.
Anything else with Adam? Good morning, Jeremy.
Good morning.
How's things in the hinterlands up north?
Yeah. Just going on like normal, so. I sent the report to Augie, I assume you guys all have that, and so,
Well, it was, you sent it, I gave it to them in their board packets, just, this last meeting. You had that.
so, you know, calls are about normal for us, so times have been consistent, so. We do have our auto pulse, we got it in, we've been trained on it, and it's in service, so it's on the truck, ready to go, so. Hope to never use it, but it'll happen at some time, so. So, any questions?
You got plenty of staff?
No?
No? As like everybody else?
Yeah, yeah. I got a couple new basics coming up soon, so, so that'll help. Got 2 in medical classes, so they're still a year away, but they're working on it, so.
Good.
I guess going back to that, just with the high school graduating, we completed our first ever high school EMT class. I wasn't a big class this year. Out of the 5 that started, three graduated. So overall percentage wise, that's pretty much on par with a normal class, graduation wise. We do have a community emergency medical responder, first responder class going on right now. I think there's between 12 and 15 in there, so it's a good sized class. Then we'll have our next EMT class. You guys have probably seen the billboard advertisement. That starts this fall with our next EMT class.
Well, thank you, gentlemen. We'll see you at the next meeting, hopefully. Okay. Andy?
The Sycamore did show up, and I assume they got done. Larry, it indicated to me, I was just thinking about that. Larry Gower of the Sycamore indicated to me that they didn't, thought a day or two, and that would finish it up, so they showed up, so I was assuming, I just
I
said.
didn't check with anybody.
You're talking about at the jail?
Uh-huh.
The lights.
Have you been up there lately? I wanna find out whether they got.
Well, while we're talking about that, we need to have a sheriff's meeting. So I'll get with you guys and see when it'd be convenient. This coming, well, I don't know whether we have time this week or not. It's up to
I've got time.
you. Okay. Okay. I'll check with Derek and Jeff to see when they can get together, okay? And then we can check out things. I noticed,
Still gotta get Larry in there to do welding on some things, and then after that painting, so.
Right.
I was down at Larry's a couple of weeks ago, and I asked him if he'd been up there yet. He said no, that he needed to get up there, but he was finishing up one project, so I don't know whether he's made it in there or not, but I said, as soon as possible, get in there, because
Okay, good.
I said we were waiting on some electrician work done, but, you know, we gotta have it painted, and you gotta get your work done before we can get the paint done.
Yeah.
I'm gonna miss some meetings.
They pretty much got, had a bad light, and a couple plumbing glitches, but,
Is that what that says?
yeah. That's what Jeff said, we're pretty much done up there with lighting and stuff, so I think we gotta get Larry in there as soon as he
I'm
can.
gonna miss the Christmas tree lights.
Yeah. Got big lights now, so. Okay, that's all I got.
I have
Dan,
nothing.
have you received, well, I'd come around there. Russ? Nothing. Carl, nothing. Bill? Lisa, I'm counting on you to have something.
Always. I missed the HRC board meeting because I was at the first public health meeting. And what I missed on the HRC one, and you were on that email as well from Jonathan, I need to read that again because I didn't really catch what all he was requesting, but he's requesting permission to change what it was that he was gonna spend some of our earmarked money on, is what I
Okay.
read from that.
Well, here's the next meeting's just, I mean, the study session's just a few days away, so.
So I need to email him and to ask for clarification. And they changed, and Nate Alexander, who is a minister, is now the chair or president of that board.
Of which board?
708 board.
Oh, okay.
He came on when he's not been on there a long time, but, so I attended the public health board, along with Scotty Ingram and Allison Williams from HRC. And, so we discussed several things. The one thing that we talked about that would, I thought I ought to bring up is that they don't have a security system out there, so they are probably going to purchase the security system from Terre Haute that Ross is familiar with and that is used elsewhere on county facilities, including going to a keyed entry on the back doors. That was probably the biggest thing. I didn't bring my notes with me today. I apologize for that.
You had a quorum?
Oh, boy, did we.
Yeah, good.
Everybody.
Well, except John.
John.
Well, yeah. Yes,
Now, John, have you received a letter from John?
So,
Go ahead, do you have?
And he texted me effective June 1st, he's resigning from the health department board.
Okay.
Yeah, just got a text the other day.
And I'll circulate a name, well, actually two.
I think I mentioned somebody that really would like to be on the board, so I haven't said anything to him, but.
Well, I had another person approach me
Right.
that would like to be on the board also. So, anyway, so we'll see. Is that it?
I think so.
Did they welcome you with the new board members with open arms?
They welcomed us with acceptance that we were there and we were staying.
Gosh.
I have a question. Did you talk about anything about the summer food program for students? If you read the paper over the weekend, it says District 95 students only, and that's through Jeremy Larson. I didn't quite understand what that meant.
That's a different program, isn't it?
Yeah.
That's
Totally
what I thought. So that doesn't include some other students, some other kids, right?
That's throughout the school year. That had nothing to do with summer.
about the regular school year, Dan.
Okay, the one on the paper was regular school year.
Yes.
That wasn't summer.
No,
It sounded like summer, that's the reason I was wondering.
well, it's probably
Okay.
the way it was written.
Okay.
I didn't write it.
Oh,
Boy, was that
darn
was good.
it, I missed a shot, I'm sorry.
That was a
It was
slam.
wide of the net.
That was a slam. Good job, Jeff.
So, Lisa, Janet's still the administrator?
Her tenure will end before our next meeting, she's stated,
Okay.
which, so I
The
thought
30th
would have
of
been,
June.
I
okay.
thought July 7th.
Yeah, I was told.
Was Monica there,
Yes, she was, and
She-
she,
participated in?
yes, other than the fiscal part, she was the one who led the meeting.
Okay,
So, yeah, she was very involved.
good.
Yeah, she'll do a good job.
And I think, you know, with Janet staying on and maybe probably handling most of the fiscal,
Mhm.
that is what we've been
Mhm.
thinking was
Right.
important, and
Mhm.
this will solidify that and make it, I think, a much stronger system.
Was anything brought up about summer food program?
No, it was not, and I did communicate with Stacy and Amanda. And they'd said that we're still in a holding pattern because we don't have our SAM number yet, which is from the state. Our board is concerned that based on the $8 per day per child, we're going in the hole. And that was from Amanda. And she and Beth Hansel were planning on meeting Monday night, that would have been a week ago, to finalize paperwork. So, I need to ask then if they will be available for one of our May meetings.
Yeah, because we had stated that if they needed,
Right.
Yeah, and I did say, remember that we're there.
I know we talked about,
sorry.
we talked about a nonprofit organization convening a sort of a sponsor. And Beth Hansel is supposed to go through her program, is that still true?
Mhm.
Okay.
That's what you,
Yeah, that's what they're waiting on the number for Hopes and Dreams to get that same number.
Okay, all right.
Any further questions?
So, school's out this
Yeah.
week,
Wednesday.
Yeah,
so is that program on hold, or?
No idea. I
no,
haven't heard a thing about it.
sounds like they can't do anything until they get that number from Illinois.
Mm-hmm.
mess.
Are you texting them to see where?
Well, it was gonna be a Wednesday,
Well,
but is that still in the works?
now the school program, as it was, most of them start on the 6th of June, as I recall. The 6th of June through, I don't know, I can't remember anyway, July 29th or something like that. So it wasn't a full summer program. However, Hopes and
Hopes and
Hopes
dreams.
and dreams.
had said that they would operate it while school was out. They were expanding what they could do, okay? So. I don't know what to tell you, you're trying to find out.
I don't know if, I have another phone number on here that I don't know if it's Beth or Stacy. So,
You want me to check?
pardon?
I think Stacy's on here. Just 'cause my wife, I don't know.
Well, after the meeting, you can check.
Yeah.
Okay, while we're checking, I'll go ahead, let's see, Mary, I needed to talk to Lisa and her committee about at least having a cover page or application page for solar.
Yeah,
We need to come up with, I talked to Dean and grabbed me and said, what's an, I mean, that she could slap on the proposal. In other words, we apply this date, name of company, contact information, having the fee at the bottom, saying submit, the fee submitted, and, you know, then a receipt can be written. I mean, it doesn't have to be,
That's Stacy's.
it doesn't have to be really fancy, but and then it could include proposal attached. And a single page would probably do that. So let's see, Michael, on the 6th of June, the committee's gonna get, the building committee's gonna get together. I don't have a time yet, but Michael's gonna be here and we wanna go over some stuff with the committee. And that's when, next week, let's see, next week, they're gonna start, they had an opening, so the folks are gonna start doing the environmental testing that Judith had asked about, Dan, that will determine where there is or is not any contaminants from other properties. So that will be done next week. Let's see, sheriff's meeting I had on here, we'll set that up maybe Wednesday or Thursday, well, we'll have to wait at least till Thursday, probably. And then the airport, the taxiway was completely dug out, and ready for open roads to come in and finish the product, or the construction. Our highway department did it in a little over 3 days, and they were considering that it was gonna be 2 weeks, so they blew through it. Now, if you go by the airport, you're gonna see mounds of dirt. Now, Dirk and our engineer are working with the state, since we were way under budget, to pay for a dozer to get out there and get that leveled out. And
You know, I was up there when they were working, and I asked Tom about it, and I said, what are the plans with that? He said he didn't know. So they're just gonna
yeah,
expand that area.
yeah,
I mean, there's a big holler there, so there's
Right.
plenty of room.
right. But we're gonna try to get the state to pay for that,
Mhm.
since, you know, we spent probably half the money that they expected us to, so.
Right.
Budget-wise, I wanna let you know that out of this Chapman and Cutler deal, we're gonna do a little bit different accounting with the, safety money tax. It's gonna become an 800 account, and it's gonna be at the bottom, it'll show what's in it. And then we transfer money quarterly out of that to what we need. And they're gonna go back, the new audit that we're gonna get for last year is going to represent that. They're gonna go back and assign certain expenses to that, pull it out, transfer it into the general fund.
So it's easier to keep track of.
Absolutely. And that way, bondholders and whatever, you know exactly what we're getting in. It'll be easier to assign to payment of bonds. So I wanna let you know.
That's good.
Yeah, and I think it makes sense. We didn't know exactly, and if we hadn't been doing bonds and all that, it might have worked fine the way it was, but this'll make it better. And it'll be more transparent, so that's what we're looking for. Do you have any questions for me on anything?
When's our next study session?
The sixth.
Six.
That's the day that the regional, they changed, they switched from nights to mornings, 9 o'clock.
Oh,
So
okay, nice.
I got, well, it's nice if I miss this meeting. What do you mean, you missed all this humor or what?
Well, let them know, no, we'll miss you.
Why do I think that's not a sincere statement?
You got a guilty conscience, I
I mean, we're gonna be down one in the contribution that you made.
Will you
It's hard to say that with a straight face, isn't it? But I just wanna let
I'll
you
tell you
know.
what, there ain't any of us indispensable, okay?
Well, I just wanna let you know where I am.
I know.
Jeffrey.
Are they good at Jeffrey? Yes, Mom. At least you didn't go Donald Jeffrey. That's what I knew.
You get a lot out of that meeting?
Yeah, indispensable.
It's, they could, just send us the minutes, it would be just fine. It's just a regional thing, they tell you what they've done with their money, or what, that sort of stuff, what projects they're into. There really isn't, if you have the pamphlet they give us to start with, like we do, it's all right there. Very simple, it's really a waste of meeting, for me.
And like
Good meeting. give
Well,
from here.
because it makes us look bad if we don't have a representative there, doesn't it?
You might ask.
Everybody's there, but they
You got
what?
this, is it once a month?
Once every 3 months.
Okay.
You get a free meal.
Yes, I get a free meal,
Well,
it sucks.
Why you go?
Oh, okay.
That's not why I go.
Yes.
Okay. Anything else to come before the study session?
Heartaches.
Yes.
Lisa?
This is not deep. So, the courthouse was and the original jail were in the 1800s. The airport was in the 1900s, and the public safety is in the 2000s. So if we do one major project every century, we're done.
Yeah, well, let's not worry about the next one.
Well, last,
I won't be here.
That's my deep thought that I wanna leave us all with.
I won't be
You
here.
must-
I'm gonna have to
you-
ponder that.
Yeah, I mean, I got to
You,
about that too.
what do you, just sit around and think of this stuff or what?
Well, it's that 30-minute, okay, it should be
Lunch hour.
40-minute
Need
drive
to
down
be-
here that I'm
You
thinking
need
of.
We
to
went
be
to
kept more busy or something.
Department of Justice meeting out in Colorado to see about building a new jail, the sheriff and
Mhm.
Alan Zuber and all of us.
Yeah.
And most of the jails were built, the majority of them were built anywhere from the early 60s to some of them built in the 80s, and they were redoing, building new jails.
Terre Haute.
And they asked us, I will say, we won the prize.
Oh, I bet.
But you know, how do we ensure that we actually have a better facility than a lot of them that were made
Yeah.
the second half
Terre
of
Haute
the
was, Terre Haute was
1800s?
built in the 60s.
When they built our jail, the sheriff had to live in it.
Yeah.
That was the law, was the sheriff had to live in the jail at that point in time.
Prior to 1970.
Prior to 1970,
1970, when my dad was elected, he was the first sheriff that didn't have
have to
to
live
live.
in the jail.
Well, I bet that was pleasant living in a jail.
Well,
Also went through the tunnel from the courthouse to jail.
Gunsmoke.
Yeah.
That's different, that's all they had, that looked good for
They got
them.
Matt Dillon's picture.
Don't be criticizing that.
No, I'm not.
Man.
I watched
He
him.
made his boots here.
Andy
in
Griffin
town.
didn't live in a jail.
These people-
Anyway,
Okay,
Anywho.
so that was my deep
McCoy's.
thought. If
Oh,
we do
just
one,
did.
if we're doing one thing a century, then we'll be
What
done.
do you think about that? I mean, what do you think?
What,
about
what goes on in your little mind that just pops in
it?
there?
Yeah.
I am a trivia genius, but ask me really serious things, I might not get it.
well, here's a serious thing. Will you make a motion to adjourn?
I will make a motion to adjourn.
Do I have a
I'll
second? Dan seconds. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
I noticed we don't ever have any problem
I
getting
got
those
time for
motions.
this.
Hey, did I adjourn the other meeting?
Main Street's not open?
Yes.
Yes.
All right.
Yeah, you did.
Good day.
You're there, there, what you call
Comment.
They made that for sale, isn't it?
300,000.
Anybody have a public comment?
I got some comments.
Yeah, all right.
Last
Okay.
shot.
We're good.